Hey, how's it, everybody? It is 5 p.m. West Coast time, 2 p.m. in Hawaii, and 8 p.m. on the East Coast. I am Mad Statter, and it is time for Chatter with Statter. It looks like we've got someone hanging out in the house. Cindy Krause, good to see you. Very glad you're here today. Oftentimes you come on in a little bit late, so I'm super stoked to see you here, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed at the beginning of the stream. Today, we are going to be talking about epic fails. Epic fails. As you guys know, if you've been watching this stream from the beginning, that's what this stream's theme has always been about. Trying to do stuff and maybe not doing it right the first time and creating an epic fail, but that's okay. Epic fails still sometimes can create successes in their own ways. And if nothing else, it is something to learn from. So that is what we're going to be talking about today. I've got some funny pictures and some local history about probably one of the most epic fails ever. And it happened here in Washington State. It looks like Rick is in the house, hiding in the background. And we've got E-Music. Kenny from the Cove, good to see you. I saw on your social medias you had some eye appointments today, so hopefully you can see us. But even if you can't, hopefully you can hear us chattering. And let's see here. We've got Rick coming in with our tech check. We are broadcasting today at 1080 source, but we've got the gear. So if 1080 is too much for your system to handle, just fiddle-faddle with that little gear and you'll be able to downgrade, and hopefully Twitch won't be so twitchy for you. So now that we've got Rick in the house, we also have Darlene in the house. We've got Kenny from the Cove here, as we know, and Cindy from the Krause has been here, along with E-Music. It sounds like it is time to get this party started. All right, there we have it. So let me see here. Got to get my next thing all set up. All right, so like I said earlier, today we're going to be talking about epic fails. Sometimes failures are funny, sometimes failures not so funny. But I can tell you, one of the best things you can do, if you can do it, is to laugh and learn by your failures. I remember when I first learned that lesson in life, how important it was to laugh. Laughing at yourself. If you laugh at yourself first, suddenly when other people laugh at you, it will seem like they're laughing with you, and it's just a little bit easier to take. I remember this day well. Unpopular high school kid, right? You know, heading to the bus stop after school, going down a grassy hill, but it had just rained. So the grassy hill, super slippery. What do? Slide down the grassy hill, and I'm covered with grassy, stinky, grass-smelling mud all the way down my pants. I mean, what are you going to do, right? You're going to either cry or you're going to laugh. And at that moment, I almost cried. But at that moment, I realized, I better laugh. Otherwise, this is just going to go downhill from there. So that was the first time that I remember learning, laughter. I don't know if it's the best medicine, but it's always better than crying. And hey, JBC P13, good to see you. How's it? I saw you were streaming earlier on Twitch. Looks like you head on over here for the chatter. All right, so speaking of the failures, I am going to show you some epic fails along the Pinterest variety, and hopefully you guys will get a little giggle out of the photos that I have collected, and we'll get into a little bit more serious failures, shall we say? But in the meantime, let's just talk about some of these failures. You know, the intention on the left, and then how everyone nailed it. Well, you know, you've got your nailed it and you've got the reality. And so I'm not sure if you guys have seen the little themes of the nailed it Pinterest fails. But as you can see from these pictures, sometimes people are much more talented than the average Joe when creating content for magazines and photo shoots. For instance, you've got your little cute teddy bear pancakes with the little cherry nose and probably chocolate chip eyes. And then you've got the reality. And then, what are you talking about? How do you tie a tie? Well, this guy clearly knows how to tie a flippin' tie. Let's see here. We've got ourselves a horrible, horrible wreath that looked like it was going to be really easy. And I think that this one is my favorite. The little lammy lamb that looks exactly like a lamb, right? And then, Kenny, this one's for you. This is Bucky Beaver. Only it's not really. Only it's not really. So, let's see here. Oh my, what's going on here? You guys are talking about... all right, so, I'm not sure what's going on with the weather talk, but it looks like we've got some unusual weathers, and I don't know what weathers who has it, so I'm gonna hope and assume that everybody is cozy and warm, but not too cozy because it's still spring and it's not supposed to be that warm. So let's see here. And Darlene is saying to Cindy, it's been raining quite a bit in Wisconsin, but now it's supposed to be warming up to almost 60, but not the 90s like you. I bet Tilly is up now. For those of you who don't know, Cindy Krause has a tortoise. And I'm not sure what species of tortoise, but she has a tortoise as a pet. And Tilly is indeed up and running, or not running, but up and wandering around. And Cindy sent me a video just the other day of Tilly doing her little turtle walk. And so, so there you go. And Kenny from the Cove, you would gladly devour either one of those Bucky Beavers. Well, yeah, sure, exactly. I mean, the thing is, right, these are supposed to be foods that you're supposed to eat. So who really cares? Okay, not all of them are supposed to be food you're supposed to eat, like this baby. You're probably not supposed to eat the baby, but that is totally how, if I had a baby, and that would end up how that baby holder would end up working for me. And those little devil bunnies, I mean, I don't know, the burnt little ears look kind of cute. And I know that the little baby picture isn't necessarily as cute as you hoped, but gosh, at least the baby fell asleep and wasn't crying. So I considered that picture kind of a win. And then, so we've got, okay, so Cindy's telling us that Tilly is a California desert tortoise. So Tilly is currently residing in California, and it is, I guess, close to 90 degrees. So sounds like she's perfectly happy right now. And Darlene, exactly, it doesn't mean they don't taste good. Precisely. Now, some of these things you're not going to eat. And I was really disappointed in this little wreath thing and I'm sure the person who made it was disappointed too, because in theory, that wreath looks simple enough that well, of course I'll be able to do it. And then you go and do it and you're like, I guess I'm not really as talented as I thought I was. And the Bucky Beavers, yeah, either of them look good. And quite honestly, actually, as far as the Bucky Beaver is concerned, even the fail looked actually not that bad. And this cute little candy turkey, I would still eat the cute little candy turkey. And in fact, it kind of makes me wonder, why would you spend so much money decorating all these things when it's just gonna end up gobbled up by the kids who really don't appreciate anything like that. And frankly, when I'm faced with Oreos and Rolos and other candies all at once, I don't really care if it looks like a turkey. I'm just digging in on the candy and the cookies. And Kenny from the Cove, the ugliest food you ever saw was when you tried to make sushi. It looked uglier than a mud fence, but was so delicious. Precisely. Sushi, getting that sushi roll is actually a lot harder than it looks, right? I mean, you think it's, you look at people doing it online and they make it look so simple. Dude, it's really not that so simple. And so, yeah, they end up, you either pack it too much, that's always my problem, or you don't do it enough, and then it's super tiny, and then it's falling apart. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And Darlene, you're saying that tie job would be you. Yeah, especially with that fancy pants little tie not that they were attempting, you know? So these are all really super cute little fails that we're seeing. And obviously some of these fails are not necessarily edible fails, but I definitely would eat all of the edible fails. Maybe there's one that I wouldn't eat that you're supposed to eat. Obviously, I would not eat the babies, and I wouldn't eat the wreath, and I probably wouldn't eat the tie on purpose. But like that octopus pancake, shoot, I'd rather eat the bottom one that's the fail than the top one, because the top one's so pretty. I don't want to ruin the pretty art, right? And Cindy Krause, these examples are so like deja vu from your efforts so often. Exactly, dude. That is exactly it. I mean, like I said, you know, these people who put together these fancy pants photo shoots really, yeah, I don't really know. They're not mere mortals like you and I. And Kenny from the Cove, I can tie a tie as well, but not that fancy knot. I don't even know what that fancy knot is called. I mean, is that like a double Windsor knot with a ollie back flip over, you know, putting in some skateboard terms in there to make it even fancier? I don't even know. So, yeah, so it always made me giggle when I look at these little fails, and it makes me feel good to know that, like, not only are people failing, they're actually willing to admit and post their failures to laugh at them, which is precisely what, like I said earlier, this channel was all about and is all about. This whole stream is a stream in, or an exercise in, learning stuff on the fly. And so, you know, we're going to hit some failures. We're going to hit some ugly failures. I'm sure we've already hit a bunch of ugly failures. We're not even going to talk about all the times I've muted when I shouldn't be muted. So, let's see here. Darlene, your mom's cakes were delicious and beautiful. She could have gone into cake decorating, but she didn't. She made them for our special events, had all the little tubes and stuff. Nice. Yeah, my boss used to actually be a cake decorator. So when she does make cakes, they're just, you know, they are professional quality, which is half the reason why I'm just like, I think maybe I'll just eat an oatmeal cookie, because I sure cannot do the fancy pants stuff. And Kenny, you think whoever tied that tie is good at origami? Well, it looks like JBC P13 might be good at origami, because it looks like it's a 4-in-hand knot, Pratt knot, half Windsor knot, full Windsor knot, self-tie, bow tie knot, Eldridge knot, Trinity knot. Oh my goodness, he's got like all the knots. And let's see here, Rick, the baby Groot. Yeah, the baby Groot actually wasn't that bad. And yeah, I'm kind of curious. Darlene's asking JBC P13, can you tie all those knots? And let's see here. Okay, so, all right, we're coming down with the knot knowledge from JBC P13, the Canadian who knows how to tie a tie. Hey, Picola T, how you doing? We're talking about some epic fails. And right now, JBC P13 is about to tell us about all the little fancy pants knots you can tie a tie in. So the full Windsor knot, sometimes called the double Windsor, is the most formal knot of the three. This is the fullest, widest knot, and so goes best with the wider, longer neckties. Its fullness gives it the most formal look, and so appropriate with formal, widespread dress shirts. All right then, what do you know? What do you know? Yeah, the octopus is hysterical, but actually there's a couple of them that are even more funny. The Bucky Beaver here does make me giggle, but it is not the biggest fail, because it actually does kind of resemble what it's going for. These little, I don't even know if they're supposed to be like cupcakes or what, these little bunnies have seen better days. They are demon buddies. They are little demon buddies. And then little melted turkeys definitely has seen some better days. And I gotta tell you, I kind of like this one with the baby and the lights. I mean, first off, what a bad idea. But the look on that baby's face is just like, this seems like a bad idea. And then there's little baby Groots that are a little bit more acceptable. And the poor little hedgehog cake, I mean, I'd eat it. It's, what is that, Toblerone little things? Good Lord. That sounds excellent. But this reality, now see, expectations versus reality on this snowman, to me, not only is that so perfect with the cake, it also to me is just like what it is when you make a snowman. You know, you see all these beautiful pictures of snowmen and all these movies with beautiful snowmen, and the snow is all pure white, and the snowballs are all perfectly round, and they're all symmetrical and perfectly placed on top of each other. And in reality, that's not what a snowman ever looks like. A snowman generally looks like what that Olaf, yeah, as Darlene said, Olaf is sad looking, but I bet tastes good. That's exactly it. That Olaf cake fail is actually exactly what a real life snowman looks like in real life too. The real life snowman is always a failure in comparison to like the magic of movie snowmen. Movie snowmen have makeup to make them look better, right? Okay, so we're still talking about ties here, and the types of tie patterns, solid ties. Those solid ties are the most simple and basic option. They're not the most versatile of ties. Diagonal stripe ties, men, meet the business classic, the diagonally striped tie. That is true. That is classic. Tartan, check, or plaid tie, polka dot ties, geometric pattern ties, paisley ties, floral ties, and novelty ties. I gotta tell you, the novelty ties, I'm just about to disagree with you there, JBCP13. The novelty ties, unless it's like, you know, a holiday or something, novelty ties are awfully hard to take you seriously. If you are okay, yeah. If you are what have I lost? A moderation note came up and I lost my track. No, if you're wearing a novelty tie in like regular business situations, I have to admit, I'd rather see you not wearing a tie at all. Like, that's just silly. I mean, but then again, I think wearing suit and ties for business is silly anyway. So just, if you're gonna wear a novelty tie, don't even bother wearing a suit and tie. Just wear regular clothes. All right, so let's get back to my face instead of all the fails. And so those are the fun fails, right? There we go. Oh, you had a funeral last week? No tie, black suit. Well, see, I would think that a tie at a funeral would be the... Okay, first off, don't wear a novelty tie to the funeral, but I would think that a tie at a funeral might be appropriate. By the way, I'm sorry for your loss. Sorry that you had to go do that. But that seems weird to me that you would be wearing a suit with no tie at a funeral. But I don't really know the rules of funerals, nor do I know the rules of suits and ties at funerals, so maybe what I think is weird is actually normal. I don't know. Let's see here. Let me take a sip of my pamplemousse. See? Epic fail in how I pronounced that word for grapefruit. There you go. Oh my goodness. 3-hour Catholic, too long to be uncomfortable. 3-hour Catholic funeral, too long to be uncomfortable. 300 plus cousins. Good Lord, man, you've got a bigger family than I've got. Holy crumb. That's, sounds like quite the family reunion under less than ideal circumstances. I guess though, I mean, I've never really been to a funeral of any of my family members because they all live super far. But I mean, it sort of seems like, I mean, they're not intended to be family reunions, but funerals kind of are family reunions in a way, aren't they? Yeah, exactly, JBCP13. Up, down, kneel, bend, shake, peace, drink, sit, up, down, kneel. Yeah, up and, yep, there we go. Oh, eMusic, good. I have the music going at a good level. Fantastic, because last stream I completely forgot about the music, so the fact that we even have music is kind of a success. And the fact that it's at a good level is even a better success. It's not an epic fail, like our theme today. I was doing my best not to live the theme of the show today. And let's see here. It looks like it was quite the ordeal. Oh, so you live 2 hours away, JBCP13. So you come over to the cousin's house 8 hours later after lots of food. I would probably just sleep over, right? After a 3-hour funeral, you live 2 hours away. So 2 hours to get there, 3-hour funeral. You got to go eat and stuff. Yeah, you're looking at like an 8-hour, 10-hour trip for the whole thing. Let's see here. Kenny from the Cove. I got a bunch of ties in your collection, but only 3 get any play. Black, navy, blue, orange. The Paisley tie is from the 90s, the Natty tie from the 80s, your Oakland Raiders tie, and they haven't seen the light of day in decades. So you have an orange tie. Interesting. What a lovely splash of color, and very different than the traditional power red of the ties. What on earth made you choose to have an orange tie? Orange is a great color, actually, but just I can't even think of any time I've seen anyone wearing an orange tie. And I don't know, that's kind of cool. And so let's see here, JBCP13. You were in the 25-8 phase of ice roads. I don't know what that means. So, I'm going to have to take your word for that. And Darlene, then there are people talented with sewing fabric and sewing and altering costumes for a play a granddaughter is in. Oh, gotcha. Cindy Krause. Yeah, Cindy Krause is doing, for those of you who don't know, Cindy Krause is an amazing seamstress who can basically manipulate fabric to create industrial products or personal products. And right now, she is working as a volunteer for her local children's theater, bringing smiles to the costumes all over the town. And, 25-8 is a really long work week. Right. Nonstop, roads melting, trucks getting stuck, loads paying 3 times as much. That sounds stressful. I don't know if I would want that. So, Bacola T. There's also the tie me up bedroom tie. Oops, wrong audience. There you go. And so now the origin of the orange tie is coming to light. Navy blue suit, white dress shirt, orange tie, Chicago Bear colors. Don't judge me, Rick. I see where you're coming from now, Kenny. Nice. Let's see here. So JBCP13, we had the longest ice road season on record ever. Oh, well, that's good. Also the most profitable, both relationships and financially. Oh, excellent. Sounds good. I'm glad that, I've been kind of worried about the ice season, what with climate change. It just sort of seems like, I don't know, they call it global warming sometimes, and, well, ice doesn't last when it's warm, so is that a good thing? But it sounds like it actually was a good thing, so fantastic. Because ice roads go where bridges cannot, and that actually brings us to what I wanted to talk about today. So, what we're going to do is I'm going to subject you to a very, very, very old newsreel, and we're going to then talk a little bit about what happened.
The Tacoma Narrows Bridge, dedicated in 1940, was the pride of the Northwest. Then, the third longest suspension span, it became known as Galloping Gertie, as it swayed in the winds sweeping up Puget Sound. 4 months after it was opened, those winds sent the bridge into a rhythmic dance of death. It literally shook itself to pieces. Caught in the middle of the bridge was a Tacoma newspaperman. The bridge twists and sways in its death agony. Since its opening, engineers have studied ways to end its strange vibrations. They claim to be on the threshold of success, but too late. The reporter, Leonard Coatsworth, manages to fight his way to safety, most of the way on his hands and knees. He abandoned his car with a pet dog inside, the only life lost in the disaster. The giant cables are under stupendous strain as the great roadway of the bridge whips about like some fluttering ribbon. These pictures have been acclaimed as some of the greatest ever filmed. Here it goes. The death of a $6.5 million dream. Theories were many, but the consensus was that the solid side railings were responsible. A twin bridge on the East Coast, New York's Whitestone, has side railings that allow the wind to blow through. A footnote to history. The bridge was torn down for scrap and a new one built. But Galloping Gertie will always be remembered.
Okay, so, whoops, all right, no, I am not muted. All right, so, okay, so before everybody gets all freaked out about the dog, as Kenny pointed out, they did try to go back to get the dog. The dog was so freaked out and frozen in terror, he bit the person who went to try to get him, and it literally was, as you can see, a choice of life or death. Save the dog and maybe die, or get off the bridge because I need to be getting off the bridge. It is unfortunate, it is horrible, but it happened in 1940, so nothing we can do about it now. And I can tell you this, there is a dog park that is currently located underneath the current span of the Tacoma Narrows Bridge. And actually right now there's two Tacoma Narrows bridges. There is the original, or the second one. The original one, as you can see, fell down. Then they built a second one in 1950, and that one is still standing. But traffic between the Kitsap Peninsula, Gig Harbor, Kitsap Peninsula side, and Tacoma is and was so heavy, they had to add a second bridge. And so underneath the newer bridge deck is a dog park, and it's a dog park named after and dedicated to the dog that was the only fatality of that particular tragedy. So I want to, let's see here. Okay, so this is the Puget Sound, right? And as you can see, I've got little red slashes on various areas. The bottommost red slash is the Tacoma Narrows Bridge. So that was one of the bridge failures that we will be discussing in the next video, that will be discussed in the next video. And that is, as you can probably see, the narrowest point of the Puget Sound between the mainland of the eastern side of the Sound and then what is the Kitsap Peninsula. The Kitsap Peninsula is where I grew up, and if you look at the map closely, you can see that essentially it's one big island, only it's not really an island. There's like one little narrow stretch of land that goes to the southwest that connects that peninsula to the Olympic Peninsula. But other than that, it is essentially like living on an island. Very limited ways to get off of the landmass. 2 bridges, 1 roadway, and like 3 different ferry options, and those are your only options. And so getting around Puget Sound is a little bit difficult. And you know, bridges and the like, very important. And so that epic fail was nothing like the epic fails of the Pinterest variety that we watched earlier. The epic fail of the Tacoma Narrows Bridge was an engineering disaster that luckily people learned from. Unfortunately, we've had a couple engineering disasters with bridges here in the Pacific Northwest in the Puget Sound area that people have had to learn from on more than one occasion. And so now I'm going to show you this little video that talks a little bit more about what in the flying fork happened with that whole epic fail of a bridge.
The Puget Sound region has always posed a challenge for transportation. We used to get around in canoes, schooners, steamers, ferries. In the modern era, we began to build bridges. And today, we're going to talk about a bridge disaster that changed the way bridges are built. Engineers have come up with a number of ideas and solutions for getting over the waterways of the Puget Sound region. Floating bridges, for example, which sounds like kind of a contradiction in terms. In a couple of cases, those bridges have worked well, but they've also had disasters. At least two sank, the Hood Canal Bridge in 1979 and the Mercer Island Bridge in 1990, both as a result of storms, and both sank in part because hatches were left open that filled with water. The most epic bridge failure in American history, and perhaps world history, was at the Tacoma Narrows in 1940. And not only did the bridge collapse, the collapse was caught on film and thus immortalized. The Tacoma Narrows Bridge crossed the narrowest point in Puget Sound between the Olympic Peninsula and the mainland near Tacoma. The bridge had been controversial from the start. Some claimed it was just a boondoggle that would benefit Tacoma. Others said there wouldn't be enough traffic to justify it. The bridge was built very narrow, just 2 lanes. Solid steel girders, instead of the usual open trusses, were meant to secure the bridge against the wind. Shortly after the bridge's opening in 1940, drivers noticed that the bridge deck began to undulate, kind of like a roller coaster, and they could see it in the wind moving like this, so much so that often the car ahead of them disappeared. That roller coaster effect was what gave the name to the bridge, Galloping Gertie. 4 months after the bridge opened, on November 7th, 1940, people noticed that the bridge was doing something peculiar. There were 42-mile-an-hour winds funneling through the Narrows. The bridge began to undulate in that roller coaster motion, but even worse, people noticed that it began to move in opposite directions like a corkscrew. One man who was on the bridge said that the bridge deck was twisting so much at a 45-degree angle that when it went to the side, he could actually see the water below. A newspaper editor from the Tacoma News Tribune, Leonard Coatsworth, abandoned his car on the bridge and crawled back to safety. In the car, he left his daughter's little dog, Tubby, and when the bridge collapsed, the car and Tubby went down. Tubby was the only fatality. The collapse of Galloping Gertie was recorded in spectacular footage. Most people are familiar with the image of the bucking bridge from the Tacoma side, but recently some lost film has been found photographing the bridge collapse from the Gig Harbor side. Here we have some of the debris of Galloping Gertie. This appears to be a piece of concrete, probably from the road bed. Here's a piece of steel with a rivet hole in it. Down here, we also have a piece of what appears to be the road bed, and interestingly, it actually has the original bridge paint still on it. This was found on a beach near the Narrows. After the bridge collapsed, there was a lot of finger pointing. Engineers pointed the finger at each other. Designers pointed their fingers at the government. Consultants pointed their finger at the bridge designers. No one had thought, and it was not standard practice at the time, to put a suspension bridge through wind tunnel testing. No one had thought to take the aerodynamics into account. A bigger, heavier, stronger bridge was built in 1950 to replace Galloping Gertie. It was called Sturdy Gertie. In 1951, 75-mile-an-hour winds came through the Narrows, and Sturdy Gertie did fine. Wind tunnel testing of steel structures became a pretty standard practice after Galloping Gertie. For example, we have a structure in Seattle that was wind tunnel tested at the University of Washington by some of the same engineers. It's called the Space Needle. This is a piece of the wreckage of Galloping Gertie, according to the State Department of Transportation. The rest of the wreckage is down at the bottom of the Tacoma Narrows, where it's a National Historic Site.
Hea oko ia mo ke ale, ke ho'okani hou ukulele, e aloha ana mele nahe nahe.
I tried not to be a failure today, but I was a failure today. I was muted in 2 places. I unmuted one, but not the other. Thanks, guys. Okay, so that's one epic fail for today. Hopefully that'll be the only epic failure we see today, but that's famous last words. And what we can say is whatever epic failure we experience together today will not be nearly as bad as the epic failure that we just saw. And there won't be nearly as many learning opportunities from any kind of epic failure that I might do, famous last words, today than as it was back when the Tacoma Narrows Bridge fell down. And so let's see here. Rick, National Historic Site. They just didn't want to pay to remove it. The bridge down there at the bottom. That is totally true, I'm sure. But as it turns out, it has created sort of an artificial reef, for lack of a better word. Obviously, it's not a reef, and it isn't in an area that, well, first off, we don't really have reefs in this body of water, and second off, it's not really it's more of a perpendicular as opposed to a horizontal type reef or parallel reef. But anyway, the bridge at the bottom of the Puget Sound, it's super deep. Puget Sound gets to be remarkably deep. I mean, like 800 feet deep. Just off of the Seattle shoreline at Alki, where I've filmed a couple things that showed you guys, the Puget Sound, probably less than 50 feet offshore, gets to be about 600 feet deep. I mean, it's just, it is a valley, it is a ravine. And so that bridge is very, very deep, and it has created wonderful living environments for all sorts of stuff. And that bridge is actually, not only is it a National Historic Site, it's a scuba diving hotspot. Some of the largest, or actually the largest species of octopus in the world live in the Puget Sound, and you can find a couple of their, a couple examples of them making their home in the debris and the rubble of that bridge. And so even though Rick is totally right, they didn't want to pay to remove it. It actually, Rick, exactly. You don't really buy the man-made artificial reef argument. You're right. It's just wrong leaving man-made trash in the water. Precisely. You're you are on the path of truth, my friend. But it is what it is. And now it has created incredible living cubby holes, basically, for the marine life. And as I said, lots of scuba divers. It's a scuba diving hotspot. Puget Sound, oddly enough. Now, I grew up in Puget Sound without thinking much of the water, outside my house. And I'd heard of this famous guy named Jaque Cousteau. I mean, who hasn't heard of Jaque Cousteau, right? I mean, I suppose young bucks now might not have, but back in our day when we were younger, Jaque Cousteau was kind of a big deal. And apparently, one of his favorite places in the world to go scuba diving is in the Puget Sound. And apparently one of the reasons why he loved it was because you could get into super deep water without going to too far offshore. Now, obviously, divers can't go up to 600 feet deep, but in the water that is that deep, you get the creatures that live in the deep water. Whereas if you're just in the shallows, you're stuck with stuff that lives in the shallows. Whereas in the deep waters, you're going to see things like huge octopus or orcas or things like that. And and Darlene, exactly. Even if what Rick says is true, and I really think it is, I agree with you. The rubble does make for a great area for sea life. And at this point, I mean, obviously they're not going to do it now, but let's just say some quadrillionaire decides, I've got the money and I'm going to pick up the Tacoma Narrows trash. I think it would probably do more damage to clean it up now, just because it has created its own ecosystem and habitat. But yeah, it really shouldn't have been there to begin with. And let's see here. Kenny from the Cove, Jaque Cousteau was so cool. John Denver wrote a song about the man's boat. I didn't know that. What John Denver song is that? I had no idea. And let's see here. Oh, dude, daughter 2. Today you took grandson to kayak camp. They went to Cutts Island and saw a pod of 5 orcas. Special event for them, Washington State, Cutts Island. I don't know where Cutts Island is, and I'm going to have to go look that up because I'm super stoked to hear that. But yeah, that is so awesome, daughter 2, that you took your grandson to the kayak camp. Kayaking around here is amazing because like I just said with the scuba diving, you really don't have to go that far offshore to see some crazy stuff, like a pod of orcas, or like during the right time of year. It's a little too early right now, but in the Seattle area, probably starting May, you might run into a sea lion or 20 while you're out rowing on a kayak. And because they're, as I'm sure you know from seeing pictures of, say, San Francisco sea lions and the like, they're not afraid of people. They hang out close to shore. They hang out on docks. So, yeah, okay, so Calypso, it was the song. Okay. And let's see here. C Honda, good to see you. And and daughter 2 is explaining it was the orcas that were in the water, not the grandkids, Rick. Yes, I know, Darlene. Isn't that awesome to be able to see all that kind of wildlife just paddling around in a little boat? Now, I have to admit, I hope that they were kind of far away from the orcas. I mean, first off, legally speaking, you're supposed to stay far away from the orcas, but who cares about the law? That's not what I'm talking about. I hope they're far away from the orcas because as neat as that would be, and as not really afraid of orcas, stupidly, I know, as not really afraid of orcas as I am, I would be freaking out if there was anything that size of an orca, of a sea lion, of a whatever near my kayak while I'm floating on top of the water and they're under my boat. That would kind of freak me out, right? So let's see here. And daughter 2, husband saw harbor seals diving off the pier in Ruston, Washington. Oh, for sure. That doesn't surprise me at all. The harbor seals, super common around here. Sea lions during certain times of the year. Once I was down in West Seattle on Alki, the shoreline at Alki. Well, actually, I wasn't on Alki because that's actually... I was on the shoreline of the river that flows into the Puget Sound near Alki, near the Duwamish Waterway is what it's called. And I was at Duwamish Head. And it's sunrise, right? And I'm just hanging out on the rocks on the shoreline, minding my own business. And a family of river otters came up to me and crawled up on the rocks and just started yelling at me like I was absolutely not supposed to be in their habitat because they were busy looking for their breakfast. And obviously their breakfast was somewhere in the rocks that I was near. And I'll tell you what, dude, I was on the land. And when water mammals get out of the water to get in your face while you're on land, it's kind of freaky, dude. It's kind of freaky. Yeah. So if I was in the water and those river otters had given me such attitude, I would have been very unstoked. Oh my. So let's see here. Okay, so we're talking more about the Calypso song that John Denver wrote about Jaque Cousteau's boat. And fun fact, says JBCP13, Denver wrote the chorus to this song when he was on board of the Calypso. He struggled to complete the song, spending months trying to write classic-sounding verses to a sea shanty chorus. He was about to abandon the song when he got the idea for the words when he was skiing. How very strange, but that's awesome. And what a neat little idea. Yeah, a little sea shanty chorus. That makes sense. And Pecola T, hoping to spend lots of time along the Ruston waterfront in June. I hope so too. For those of you who don't know, the Ruston waterfront is generally the waterfront that folks who are in the city of Tacoma area go hang out in. That's the waterfront location for that city. Whereas in Seattle, the waterfront location is the Alki Beach area. Now, granted, the downtown Seattle has waterfront, but there's no water access other than a couple boat ramps. It's all built on piers over the water, so there's no like, hey, I'm in downtown Seattle and I'm just gonna go, even though downtown Seattle goes right up to the Puget Sound, I'm just gonna go in the Puget Sound. No, you're not. There's no real access, and you don't really want to go in the part of, you don't want to go in the water there anyway. It's kind of gross. A lot of industry. Let's see here. And it looks like, so Daughter 2 and Pacola T are talking about Point Ruston. Point Ruston's so fancy now. It is so fancy. And it did used to be a center of some serious industry, serious pollution, that they're still trying to recover from. But once the smelter tower was removed, things did get a little bit better. And Darlene, did the otters try and chase me? And it was scary because there was like 3 or 4 of them. And there was one of them that was just really had the attitude. And I didn't really they didn't chase me per se. But like once they started crawling up the rocks, I like got up and went to the sidewalk. It was just like, yeah, we don't need to continue this discussion. You won the argument. You're good. It's all good. It's all good. Chased by river otters and spiders. That's it, C Honda. Let's see here. All right, everybody, it seems to know about the this Calypso song, and I guess it sounds like it might have been in a Pirates of the Caribbean movie. I suppose Disney can afford Denver music. That makes sense. And Daughter 2 asking Pacola T who paid for the cleanup. Gosh, I don't really know. I'm sure the city of Tacoma had something to say about paying for the cleanup because it, that smelter was spewing toxic waste into the air, traveling miles and and affecting homeowners' values for so long. And for those of you who aren't sure what the flying fork we're talking about, there was a smelter down in Ruston Way in Tacoma, and it was spewing toxic smoke and fumes and the like, as smelters do. And as it turns out, the particulate matter that was fairly toxic after 70 years of it accumulating in the surrounding neighborhoods was, so the smelter was spewing arsenic, right? Okay, so there you go, arsenic, a little bit of a problem. You may have heard of it. It sometimes is used as a poison to kill people and rats and stuff. Hey there, Pakalika72, how are you? We are talking about Tacoma, Ruston Way, and the Arco or the whatever smelter that was not very environmentally friendly. And it was so much so not environmentally friendly that there's huge swaths of homes and housing tracts in the Tacoma area that literally you're not allowed to touch the dirt in your yard. Like you don't want to. Oh, Asarco equals arsenic. I didn't know that. Daughter 2, what do you know? So anyway, they're literally not allowed to touch the dirt in their own yard. And if they do touch the dirt in their own yard, you're supposed to go and wash. You definitely aren't supposed to grow any vegetables in that dirt. And so people are paying a lot of money to remediate the land that their home is on. I don't know all of the different various ways that are happening, but I do know that some people have quite literally just like bought topsoil, 2 feet worth of topsoil to just cover their entire yard. So all of the poisonous stuff is completely buried underneath. I'm sure there's some sort of barrier. It's not just as simple as dumping clean dirt over the poison dirt. There's way more to it. It's expensive, but roughly from what I remember, one of the options is, you can just pour a bunch of dirt on top of it. But it absolutely, Kenny from the Cove, how did that place not become a Superfund site? I think it is technically maybe a Superfund site. I'm actually not quite sure. And Pakalika72, how deep do you have to go to remove the bad stuff? These are all very good questions, and my best guess is it probably all depends on where the land is located in relation to wind flow of the of where the smelter used to be, because I'm sure certain areas had less particulate matter than other areas. And how long ago was this? Gosh, I want to say that they tore the smelter down like in the 80s. Pecola T, maybe you can give me a better time frame. But I feel like it was the 80s. It was remarkably not as like it was it should have been, as far as I'm concerned, should have been done way sooner. It wasn't that long ago. I mean, I guess 40 years ago is a long is when they tore it down. But yes, the arsenic is still there. The properties that were in the wind flow still there. These are issues that have to be, disclosed when you're buying and selling the home, and it totally affects the price of the home sale, obviously. And like I said, there are some ways to fix it, but not everybody has the money to fix it. So it's just a case of like, yeah, well, we've covered our yard with visqueen and paving stones, and that's as good as it's gonna get, kind of thing, And so people do what they can. But yeah, the Ruston Way used to be a very industrial, grimy type place. And now, as Pecola T and Daughter One are suggesting, it's fancy pants hoity-toity now, because it's waterfront. And, the waterfront area that used to be industry hadn't been built up for condominiums until it stopped being used for industry. And so now Ruston Way is sort of a hoity-toity area of Tacoma. And I have to tell you, very beautiful views of all sorts of things on Ruston Way, including Mount St. Helens. And Andre, it looks like Andre is in the house throwing down 300 biddies. Thank you so much, Andre. Kenny from the Cove in with 200 shamrocks. Super stoked. And I have to say, Rick, thank you so much for handling the sword of moderation. You definitely were busy there for a quick minute. Not quite sure what the heck happened there, but man, we had a crowd come in, didn't we? And now our beautiful, wonderful, lovely moderationist said, yeah, you all gotta go. And that is super awesome. Looks like we've got a hype train going on because C. Honda just threw down 100 biddies. Andre, another 300. And Rick, yes, wielding that sword. That is exactly it. Oh, holy crumb. Yeah, hype train, almost 50% done with the first level 1. And Pecola T, that's exactly it. Now you need deep pockets to live along the Ruston waterfront. Absolutely. Darlene coming in with 300 hearts. I love it, you guys. Thank you so much. That is so sweet. And so Andre, so you're not home yet. You're just waiting for Bart. Well, hopefully you will not have an epic fail when you're waiting for Bart, because that is the theme today of the show, Epic Fails. We were I got to show a little bit of a video of quite possibly one of the biggest epic failures in Puget Sound history. I won't say it's the biggest epic failure in the United States, because we've had some pretty big epic failures. 3 Mile Island might be one of the bigger ones, but I don't have any info about that, so we're not going to talk about that. And Andre throwing down 400 more biddies, and then we have got Kenny coming from yeah, that's right, epic fail. Kenny from the Cove coming with 500 shamrocks. Thanks so much. And let's see here. Ruston properties were great until they built up the condos and ruined the views. Exactly. And C. Honda, does it smelt bad? That's funny. And yes, actually, it did smell bad. Those of you who don't live in the area might not know this, but Andre, thank you so much for 400. But Tacoma, for the longest time, when you drove through Tacoma on I-5, there was this stench that just hung over the air, and Picolites got it, and it was referred to as the Tacoma aroma. That's how bad the pollution and industry back in Tacoma used to be. It created such a stench that the town actually had a reputation for being stinky, and it was referred to as the Tacoma aroma. And Pakalika72, thank you so much for the 200 biddies. And the Tacoma aroma was actually so bad and so potent that back in the 80s, now I'm not sure if this was before or after the smelter was removed, but back in the 80s, Bruce Springsteen refused to stay in Tacoma. He had a performance in Tacoma. He was playing the Tacoma Dome. His show was Tacoma, but he actually required his people to get him a room in Seattle because he refused to deal with the stinkiness and the pollution that was Tacoma. He said that it affected his voice. The last time he had stayed in Tacoma, it ruined his performance. And frankly, he might be onto something. That being said, when word got out that he refused to stay in Tacoma, whoo, boy howdy, that caused a little bit of local controversy. But it looks like we've got more biddies being thrown down and a level 2 hype train almost done. Thank you so much, Darlene, for the 200 biddies, Andre for the 300 biddies, and then Pakalika, it looks like you threw down another 100 that I did not thank you for. And Darlene, how long did it take to clear up the odor? Good question. The smelter was not the only cause of the odor, because after the smelter was removed, the odor still hung around. And people from Tacoma would insist that the smell's not coming from Tacoma anymore. It's coming from Fife, and Fife is the next town next to Tacoma. But there's no rhyming the Fife stink, the Fife smell. Like, there's no cute name for that. So I don't know. I don't know how it took many years before whatever industries in that valley were done with. It doesn't stink anymore, at least not that I notice, not like it used to. But it took years and years and years, even after the smelter was gone, for that stink to go away. And yeah, exactly. Daughter, is the Simpson paper mill in that area? Because that was sort of the stench. I don't know if you guys have passed or are familiar with the stench of paper mills. The paper mills are pretty flippin' stinky, and that was sort of what the odor of the Tacoma aroma was very reminiscent of a paper mill bouquet, as it were. And Kenny from the Cove, Pasadena, Texas, has Stinkadena. Okay. And Andre, I know, right? Bruce Springsteen, he's from New Jersey, and he's complaining about the stink and the pollution. Seems kind of funny to me, because I envision New Jersey to be kind of industrial, at least in certain areas, and sort of like, I don't know, I kind of envision Bruce Springsteen to be from the rough and tumble industrial area of Jersey. Although actually I don't really know. Andre, the Fife Funk. There you go. All right. See, somebody could have come up with that. Let's see here. And Darlene. Oh, right. It was probably, okay, Darlene coming up with some pretty logical logic there. The stench probably was ingrained into all the soil and the materials. So of course it would take, it'd still be a little stinky, even though the stench, yeah, just like, your coat that you use when you're by the campfire, you come home and you put the coat in the closet, and the next time you open the closet, it smells like the closet's on fire. Because of the stench. And then Picolati, exactly. There was also the Nally Valley in Tacoma that smelled like pickles all the time. Nally dill pickles. That is right. I remember Nally used to make so many different things. They had pickles, they had potato chips, they had other things too that for some reason, now that I have to list them, I can't think of. But Nally's was a full-on local brand, and I don't know what happened to Nally's. I kind of I miss their little boxes of potato chips because they sold potato chips in boxes. I don't know why, but they did. I mean, I guess because they thought it would make them not break as much. I don't know. But I miss their boxes of potato chips. And JBCP 13. Well, yeah, New Jersey is the Garden State, but parts of New Jersey is definitely not a garden. I mean, right? You know, I mean, come on, it butts up against New York City. How can that all be garden? There's got to be some industry. I mean, it's along rivers and stuff. You know, there's got to be industry. And where there's industry, it's gritty and grimy, right? Whatever. That's my story. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Oh, wow. JBCP is telling us, 13 by the way, telling us that 22 million pounds of plastic pollution end up in the Great Lakes every year. That's a lot. That is a lot. And so Darlene, speaking of food, of course, we're at Chatter with Statter. We're always speaking of food. You were glad to see that I tried the maple syrup and honey combo for the granola recipe. Yes, indeedy. For those of you who don't know, Darlene has an amazing granola recipe that's a basic how-to of how to create your own granola. And I kind of fiddle-faddled with her recipe because it's so open-ended, it works. And yeah, I ended up using some maple syrup thanks to Vanilla Coke Pepsi, who is not here today, but he was... For those of you who might hang out here on the stream, you'll know that Vanilla Coke Pepsi is from Canada, and he is a maple syrup aficionado who speaks of maple syrup every chance he can get. So inspired by his maple syrup loving ways, and inspired by Kenny from the Cove, who had sent me some cinnamon pecans from a place called Buc-ee's. Buc-ee's is in Texas. It's a convenience store that has everything. I can't even begin to explain to you what Buc-ee's is. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. But I can tell you this. They've got some cinnamon pecans that are amazing. And so I added some cinnamon pecans, some maple syrup, made the granola my own, and it was flippin', flirpin', flying, forkin' delicious. I call it the Statterbox Style Granola because Darlene belongs to Statterbox Crew, Kenny from the Cove belongs to the Statterbox Crew, and Vanilla Coke Pepsi belongs to the Statterbox Crew. So that is how we made it. Let's see here. And Kenny telling me from, 20 minutes west of you in Lampasas, Texas, they have a natural sulfur springs. There's no escaping that fragrant aroma. Yeah, I'll tell you, dude, a lot of hot springs have that sulfurous smell, and I have a lot of friends who really dig on hot springs, and when they come back from their hike to the hot spring, and I just smell them, and it's just like, how can you voluntarily hike through the woods just to end up wanting to smell like a rotten egg? It's just gross. Yeah, Picola T, running joke in Seattle back in the day. You knew who in the room was from Tacoma because of their aroma. Well, yeah, it's sort of, stinky. And JBCP 13, during the 60s, Lake Erie was declared a dead lake due to eutrophication and pollution. I don't know what that word is, but I do know what dead lake means. And yeah, I remember that, and I feel like Lake Erie caught on fire once or twice too, but I could be making that part up. But from what I understand though, the Great Lakes have in the last 40, 50 years been cleaned up dramatically, considering how horrifyingly gross they were. And so I'm thinking, well, what can we say, along the lines of what this show is about today? Lake Erie was an epic fail at one point. I mean, an epic fail. And lo and behold, people learned from it, and we're trying to crawl out of that failure, so to speak. And there's a little bit of success crawling out of that failure. For those of you who aren't familiar, there is a body of water in Honolulu that separates Waikiki kind of from the downtown area. It's called the Alawai Canal. And the Alawai Canal, being a slow-moving body of water, not really stagnant, but as close to stagnant as you're going to get. It's a very slow-moving body of water that goes right through the heart of downtown and Waikiki. So major traffic, major this, major that. Needless to say, the water is not in good shape. But they've found that they can make these things called Genki balls, I guess is what they're called. And they're these little mud balls that are filled with positive, good bacterias. And they throw them into the alawai, and slowly but surely, the good bacterias are cleaning up all the nastiness. And so even though Alawai Canal could have been considered an epic fail, they're actually, you know, fixing it up because they're learning from it. And let's see here. Rick, you burn out your sense of smell. Yeah, you become smell blind, so you don't notice that it's bad, but the odor is still there. Yeah, precisely. And that is, I guess, you're right. That's what's went on with my friends who didn't realize they were so stinky. But I just don't even know how you can get nose blind to something like sulfur. And let's see here. Darlene saying that you use some of those cinnamon pecans in an almond flour banana bread recipe you tried. Nice. I'm assuming that if you're admitting you did it, it wasn't an epic fail and it was pretty good. And let's see here. Oh, Kenny, among that sulfur stench is a popular wedding venue. Your niece Debbie got married there. Oh, I hope that you could breathe through your mouth or something. So wait, you just got a bottom blueberry maple syrup? Now, when you say bottom blueberry, did you mean to say you got a bottle of blueberry maple syrup? I've never heard of blueberry flavored maple syrup, but I'm going to assume that's what you meant. And so, let's see here. Yeah, Andre, there's flesh-eating bacteria in the alawai. Yeah, I just heard that the other day. But, you know, flesh-eating bacteria are in lots of places that don't have rapidly moving water. And let's see here. Yeah, Kenny from the Cove. So long as a river doesn't catch fire, like the whatever river, I can't say that word, I don't know how to pronounce it, but like the C word river, and no, not that C word, it's different. There is hope that the river can be saved. There is hope, yes, exactly. Let's see here. Yes, leptospirosis, that's the flesh-eating bacteria. See, you guys are all so smart here. And, you guys know what's up. You guys are so smart. All right, so we were talking about gardens just a few seconds earlier. What with not being able to grow food in your own home garden, etc. And we were talking about the Garden State. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to... Oh, hey there, OG Sumo Vibe. How you doing? Aloha. All right, so I've got one last video for all y'all. And this video is taken by the Seattle YouTuber that I follow. I've shown you many, many, many videos from Laotian, and I promise you, maybe, I don't know, I'm going to try to promise you that this is the last video this year that I'm going to show you of the cherry blossoms. Yeah, that's right, cherry blossoms. Again, still. Yes, again, still. Cherry blossoms are on their way out here in the Seattle area because of a huge windstorm that we had earlier this week and lots of rain. They are still holding on, but we have been blessed a little bit with the pink petal snowfall. And so I wanted to show you this video that Laotian did. It was not downtown Seattle. It's it's on the terrace of the International District in Seattle, And this particular park that's full of cherry trees also happens to have a communal garden space. Now, I'm not sure if this is just like a Seattle thing or a Puget Sound thing or whatever. I know that some of my friends who moved from California and saw that we did this up here, they freaked the flying fork out. They thought it was the most dangerous and risky thing that you could possibly ever do. And it never occurred to me that like there would be any danger in this, but we have these things called community gardens in Seattle, or in the King County area. And the community gardens are basically large patches of land where you can rent tiny little plots and you then have your garden space in that little plot. And so this particular park that Laotian is going to be walking through to show you the cherries also happens to have a lot of, it's a community garden basically. So there's all sorts of individual plots. And so you'll see like these little things, you'll see, you know, all these little plots of land that are, you know, that are partitioned off in the most hamajang of ways. You know, basically like what is a piece of material that I could use to create a fence or to create a over thing so the birds and the squirrels can't come into the garden. You'll look at this and you'll just be like, wow, that's hamajang. But that's basically what the community garden's all about. And it looks like Rick, and it looks like JBCP 13, it looks like Darlene. You guys all have those as well. So cool. Community gardens, obviously not just a Seattle thing. I didn't think they were, but I can tell you that people from California are uncomfortable with this idea. They seem to think like someone's going to come poison your food or something. I'm not really sure what they're afraid of, but it looks like, oh, and there's the community gardens on Oahu too. Good. So everybody knows what is going on. So that is the video that I'm going to show to you in just a minute. But before I do that, I want to say thank you to Andre for the 300 biddies. And I want to say to C Honda, you have a picture of your cherry blossom, singular, from today. That is so awesome. I'm glad that I've gotten everybody to go on their little cherry blossom hunts. And honestly, I didn't really know if your climate, your area even produces cherry blossoms. And so like you said, it might be the first cherry blossom and it very well might be the last, but I'm glad you got a picture of it. Yes, sirree. And Andre, how do you get all the fallen blooms off your car when they land on your car? They stick like glue? Yes, they do. They do stick like glue. And I don't have, you wash them off. I don't have any tricks. I do not have any tricks. Andre, okay, so you have them too, and nobody's scared of them. And C Honda is like, no, we've got community gardens down here. I don't know what it is, dude. Seriously, I don't know what it is with my friends who are from California who came up and lost their bloody flippin' mind over these community gardens. It sounds like my friends are the ones that are nuts, not us, because it sounds like they're everywhere. And so Cindy from the Krause Gophers around here would love a community garden. That's exactly it. That is exactly it. So, all right. So I would like to share with you this one last video before we to show you basically the final denouement of the cherry blossom situation in Seattle. Thanks to Laotian. He is the one who's bringing us this footage, and I will be providing a link. I meant to provide his link on this video, but I forgot to add it before the show today, so epic fail. But I will be adding a link to this video and to his channel when I post this on YouTube. So definitely double check Laotian out if you're interested in anything Seattle oriented. He's got some great walking tours. He's basically the equivalent of Photoloo Kauai, only Seattle's version. And I cannot tell you how much I love him and how much I envy him, because basically, for the most part, every single thought I have in regards to, ooh, I should go do a walking video of this, literally the next day, he flippin' posts a video of precisely this. Because quite honestly, you guys, I was thinking to myself, I even have notes to prove it. Oh, I'm gonna do a video about community gardens. And the very next day, he posted this video. So, here we go.
How y'all doing?
How you doing?
Good, good.
Excellent.
Yeah. Greetings from Danny Wu International Community Garden, everyone. I'm here to check out some cherry blossoms today. I was told that there's some beautiful cherry blossoms at the top of this park. So I'm here to check that out. I've been here before many times, but never to the area where there's cherry blossoms, and I can see them from here actually up there. Let's take a look around the park first. Maybe say hi to the chickens and stuff. There's chickens here. It's looking south. You can see Chinatown down there. Okay, let's check out what's in this corner here. Say hi to the chickens. Oh, this is the other way of getting here. Or is it? Yeah, it's good to know. Okay, you can come up this way as well. Okay, really good to know. All right. Wow, yeah, I could. There's a lot of cherry blossoms up there. A lot of them. Just exploring around a little bit today. Ooh. Yeah, there's chickens in here. What's up, chickens? All right. Let's go up this way. Some workers over there. This is a big place. Wow, deceiving. Doesn't look as big from down below. Working over there. All right, let's go ahead and make our way to the cherry blossoms. Been kind of on this cherry blossom craze the last couple of weeks. It is spring, so you know, cherry blossoms are a big deal around here this time of year. Wow. Here they are. And this is a Kobe Terrace Park that we're at up here. As the sign indicates. Wow, look at the view from up here. It's nice. Wow. It's looking south. You have Beacon Hill to the left, and straight ahead would be past Chinatown would be Georgetown and South Park way in the distance, and then White Center. You have Soto in that area there. You have the two stadiums there. Lumen Field, the first one on the right. Lumen Field is our football and soccer stadium, and then past that, that is T-Mobile Park, which is our baseball field. All right, so this is what it looks like up here. There's a sign to the park here. Nice up here. Yeah, quite a few trees here. Down below is Pioneer Square. You can see Elliott Bay from here. Wow, it's nice. Let's have I-5 in that direction. So it's been really windy. And cherry blossoms are dropping like snowflakes. It's been a really windy day. But wow, this is actually amazing. If you like cherry blossoms, this is amazing. There's a lot of trees, and I think they might be at peak bloom right now, maybe a little past peak bloom. But if you want to view them, you can still come here. And I'm thinking for photos, for portrait photos, right here. As a photographer, if I were to stand my model right here and use like a 35 or 50 or even an 85 millimeter lens, this would be an amazing place to take photos. Wow. Yeah, there's a lot of trees here. I'm going to remember this place for next spring. I mean, I'm talking like there's regret. There's no regret. I'm glad I'm here now. It is beautiful. And I have this park pretty much all to myself. Oh man, yeah. This is awesome. So I wanna say something here, and that is to give a shout out to one of my viewers, one of my subscribers, whom I met at Lan Hue Vietnamese restaurant. It's a banh mi place just down here in the Pacific Rim building. I bumped into him while waiting in line for my banh mi, which is a Vietnamese sandwich. And while I was waiting in line, I forget the subscriber's name, but he came up to me and introduced himself and told me that he watches my videos, and then asked me if I'd been here, to which I said no. I think what he actually said was, have you checked out the cherry blossoms at Danny Wu Garden? And I said no. And it's because of him, it's because of you, if you might be watching, that I'm here today. So I appreciate that. While I've been here before, like I stated earlier, I have not been to this part of the park, and this is an amazing part of the park. It really is. This is awesome. This is awesome and definitely worth checking out. Definitely worth checking out if you like cherry blossoms and if you like learning new things. If you like learning about what the Danny Wu International District Community Gardens is all about, I mean, you can learn about it online, but to come and see it with your own eyes and learning about it in person, maybe even talk to people, the volunteers and staff you might see here. It's a great idea. But yeah, this is awesome. Wow. This is awesome. I mean, Totally different vibe from the University of Washington. But amazing nonetheless. Okay, I'm going to take some photos now using my phone. And I will say that if you want to check out cherry blossoms in the Seattle area, this is definitely a place you should consider, but you will have to come soon because the wind sometimes will I think if there's strong winds, this is not going to last much longer. Anyway, from Kobe Park, where the park meets the Danny Wu International Community Garden, signing off. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Peace.
The path that is taken alone.
Hold on. All right, there we go. Okay, so awesome. I'm so glad that that video translated well to the big screen and that everyone was just as in awe of the beauty as I was. I'm very glad to be able to share this with you guys because quite honestly, you know, it's not until you start really looking at your hometown through a different lens that you start seeing the actual amazing quirky beauty that is around us. And there is such a Japanese influence in our Puget Sound area that it's sort of natural that we've got all of these cherry blossoms. And thanks to this spring, the cherry blossoms put on an amazing show for everyone, and I'm so happy to be able to share that show with you. Thanks to Laotian. And if you guys give me just 1/2 second, I'm going to actually link his page in the chat, but I don't have his, oh, come on. I don't have his page up right now. So here we go. All right then. Okay, this is his YouTube page, and so I will be putting links, like I said, for everyone who's watching this on the YouTube later on. I will be putting this here. I will be putting that link in the description. And speaking of YouTube, by the way, folks, for those of you who were not here for the last stream, just so you know, I'm going to be heading to Hawaii in June. And what that means for Statterbox at the cinema and Chatter with Statter is it's going to be a little bit different while I'm away from my homestead. First off, Statterbox at the cinema when I'm going to be in Hawaii is not going to happen. And Chatter with Statter will be happening, but in a very different way. Normally, Chatter with Statter, as you guys know, happens here on Twitch. I will not be broadcasting on Twitch when I'm in Hawaii. Plans are right now, I'm going to be doing occasional and random live broadcasts from Oahu when I am there, but I'll be doing it via YouTube. So if you're not subscribed to me on YouTube and you're not following me or getting notifications for my YouTube channel, Mad Statter is who I am on YouTube. Mad Statter is who I am on Twitch. Go to the YouTube page, give a follow, get the notifications. You don't have to do it right now. I mean, you can, but you don't have to. But come closer to June if you want to see what I'll be doing when I am out and about in Hawaii. We will be having some live streams. There'll probably be things me walking around asking you guys, should I turn right? Should I turn left? This, that, and t'other. So not exactly sure how it's going to really work out. But if you're interested in following my shenanigans once I hit that week-long vacation in Hawaii, it will be on YouTube, not on Twitch. So that's how that works. Going up a couple, Pocola T's asking if I can put a link on Discord. I absolutely will put a link to Laotian on my Discord channel. And, and then Rick coming in with the most logical of logics, which is, well, why don't you just post your YouTube channel here? Well, Rick, I don't know. Why don't I do that? Hold on. Well, apparently why I don't do that is because my computer's not working to want to do that. But how about this? Good Lord. Things just got complicated. All right, so Rick, he's being smart because he's a smart man. And I don't know why my customized URL is not coming up on this link. It's not, but that's supposed to be my channel. So feel free to follow me on my channel. And let's see what else we have here. Oh, Darlene, I didn't realize that up north they use sand instead of salt in the Clark County roads. I prefer that because as JBCP 13 was suggesting in a previous chat that I didn't comment on, but I was about to, apparently the salt levels on due to increased salt roading of the salt. Wow, yeah. Salting the roads while it's all, snowy and stuff. That actually, the salt is building up in the soils and it is causing a little bit of an issue. And then for folks who suggested, hey, why don't I put my Discord channel on the thing? I am going to hopefully do that. Unfortunately, things are taking way more time than I thought they would. So, there we have it. If you guys want to join the Discord server, that is my Discord link, my Discord invite. And on that Discord server, you will find that recipe for granola that I was talking about earlier, the Statterbox Style Granola. Thanks to Statterbox Crew members, Darlene, of course, for the actual recipe, Kenny from the Cove for the brilliant Simonin, that's right, Simonin pecans, and then, of course, our maple syrup aficionado, Vanilla Coke Pepsi. So, that is what we have for today. Saturday, Statterbox at the Cinema this Saturday, we're going to be showing the movie My Girl, and so if you could join us here on Twitch, 6 p.m. West Coast time, 3 p.m. Hawaii time, 9 p.m. East Coast time. We will be watching the movie from, I think it's from the 80s. Macaulay Culkin, Dan Aykroyd, you know the one, My Girl. And if I remember correctly, you might need a tissue or two. So maybe make sure you got a box of Kleenex on hand. That is right. All right, so it is the bottom of the hour now. I want to thank you guys for hanging out about while we talked about epic fails. And so I think aside from a little bit of muting failure, we didn't have too many epic fails today on Statterbox at the Cinema. Super thankful of that. And Darlene, it made me wonder about a spicy version of granola, say with chili powder. That is correct, and that is next on my list of things to try. However, I've got a different recipe that's spicy that I'm going to be sending you with a sampling of it. It's a little seed mixture that's got the chili powder spices. And I'm thinking that the seed mixture that I've got, the spice combo, would probably work really well with the granola. We just need to figure out the ratios and the proportions. So hopefully between Darlene and I, we might come up with a whole new way to think about granola. Because as far as everybody's concerned, right? Granola, it's a breakfast food. Granola, it's sweet. Granola, it's got raisins and stuff in it. What if we made granola spicy? What if we made granola savory? Well, that's what Darlene and I are fixing to do. We haven't done it yet, but we'll keep you posted. All right, then. That's it for today. Thank you so much for hanging out at Statterbox. Statterbox Crew, Chatter with Statter. And I will see you hopefully on Saturday for the cinema. And if not, I hope to see you Chatter with Statter on Sunday, 5 p.m. West Coast time, 2 p.m. Hawaii, and 8 p.m. on the East Coast. In the meantime, let's hang out. Let's do it again. All right, yo.